Hi, and welcome back to CreativeChelsey. If you like this video, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up or commenting below. If you want to see more of my videos, press the subscribe button and click on the bell for notifications. If you need any Stampin' Up! Products to make these cards, you can visit my online store and the link is in the description box below. Today I'd like to share with you another alternative project I have created using the May 2020 Paper Pumpkin Kit, a kit in color. These are the cards that you can make in the kit. And what I like to do is take these cards and create my own projects using some extra supplies from my craft room. Don't miss next month's Paper Pumpkin Kit. It will include all the supplies to make 8 full-size cards, plus you can repurpose the cute box. Place something yellow and fun inside and gift it to someone who needs a little more sunshine. You can use the subscription link in the description box below to sign up. So these are the cards that we're going to be creating in this video today. They use a lot of the fun patterns that are in the original cards. So let's go ahead and get started with this card. To make this card, you're going to need the striped card base from the kit. You'll need both the white tag and the flag. You'll need about 18 inches of the twine, the large vellum sheet, the embellishments, and the square that we used from the shaker card from yesterday's video. And if you haven't seen that already, then you can watch that video. I'm going to link it up here in the right corner. From your own stash, you're going to just need a piece of Whisper White cardstock that is cut into your normal card size base, which is 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. We're going to start making this card by separating the front pattern from the back blank side. And we're going to start by cutting it at 4 inches and then trim it to 5 1/4. The next thing we're going to do is some stamping and inking. So let's stamp our greeting first. And so we're going to stamp the greeting on the white side of this yellow flag shape. And we're going to use the Oh Happy Day image. And you're going to want to stamp it in VersaMark if you're having a hard time with the ink pooling on the image. And then use the Misty Moonlight ink spot that came in the kit. And then you can just stamp that right in the center. The next thing we're going to do is color our label punch to be this Misty Moonlight color. And so we're going to get a lot of ink on our work surface, so make sure you have a scrap piece of paper, and you're going to actually remove the lid and just start rubbing that ink over that paper to apply it, that strong bold color onto the paper. If you have a sponge dauber or a sponge, you can also use that to blend that ink in. But we're going to just really put it on nice and heavy. So I'm adding a little bit of pressure and just pushing that into the cardstock. And then I can use that sponge dauber to just blend any big chunks of ink that might be left over. And then flip it and do the same thing on the other side. So just keep rubbing that in until the color gets nice and dark. And then use a sponge dauber to kind of blend out any lines that you might have. And if you need it to be darker, then just keep adding more ink. So once you're done with that, you're just going to set that to the side and let it dry. And we can put our card together. So just make sure you don't have any blue ink on your fingers while you're working with this white cardstock. So just rub your fingers on some tissue or a towel, or you can wash them. Go ahead and fold your card base in half, and you're going to add the striped pattern paper to your card. And you can either do it so that it's running down or running up. It doesn't really matter. Either way is fine. Add some adhesive, and this just goes right in the center of your card base. Now, if you didn't want to cut your card base apart, you could have probably used the full card base from the kit with this project, and then just use some Whisper White cardstock for some of these extra pieces we're adding. Okay, so we've got that. Next, we're going to add our vellum piece. And we only add adhesive to vellum where it will be hidden. So I'm just going to place some adhesive in the middle of this vellum sheet and stick this in the center of my card. Next, I'm going to add the square that we used when we created the window for the shaker card from yesterday's video, and that just gets added to the vellum. And that will just go right in the center as well. If I wanted, I could bring it up just slightly so that there's a little more space at the bottom than at the top. Smooth everything out. Now I'm going to take that 18 inches of twine, and I'm just going to wrap that behind the vellum and bring it up so that we can tie a bow that's right around here. So a little lower than center on the left side of the card. Go ahead and tie a knot. And we're going to just add a little bit of adhesive right here on the corners. So grab the glue dots, and you're just going to apply it right where that Bakers Twine is. Okay. All right, so that's going to help hold that side down nice and flat, and then we can tie a bow. So that's where we are right now. The next step would be to add our blue label, and we're going to add that with some dimensionals. So just take a couple dimensionals, place them on the back side of that label, and this label is going to go about center, but we're going, or in the middle of our card here, but we're going to move it off center a little bit, so it's a little bit to the left and just peeking out over that vellum. And we want the bow to be just directly below that blue label. Now we're going to take our greeting, and I'm just going to bend up the sides a little bit to give it some interest. Add a little adhesive to the back, and then place this, and I don't want it to be centered. I want it to be off to the left a little bit and below center. Like that. And then the last thing we're going to add are these cute white flowers. And this is the flower punch. The name is Small Bloom Punch. It was a celebration item. This will last January, or not January, yeah, January through March, but it is carrying over into the new catalog, which is really fun. So you're going to go ahead and punch out 3 of those flowers from the white cardstock that was part of the back of our card base. And then take your bone folder and the curved side and just curve up each one of those flowers by running the cardstock between your finger and the curved side of your bone folder. And then we're going to add these to our card with a little bit of adhesive, and you can use any adhesive that you like. Just place one over to the right side, maybe one below, and then another one near the top. And then to really give them some interest, we're going to add the embellishments that came in the kit, and just take one and place it in the center of each card. So that color is the Magenta Madness, I think is that color. Let's put the green one here. And then the Misty Moonlight and the Just Jade. Those are the colors of the new in colors. Okay, so that card is all done. Okay, so let's go ahead and make card number 2. So we're going to punch 3 flowers again for this card. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, and then I'm going to trim off that row of flowers, and I'm going to use the rest of this paper for some of our other elements on this card. So the first thing I need is a strip that's about 1/4 of an inch in thickness. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim 1/4 of an inch. Then I need a 2-inch square. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 inches. And then rotate it and cut at 2 inches again. And then I need a 1/2 inch strip for my thanks, and that is a 1.5 inch in length. So I'm just going to cut it at a 1/2 inch and then bring it down and cut at 1.5 inches. Okay, so then we're going to use this leftover piece for our stamping of the word hey. So let's go ahead and do all the stamping on these pieces that we have just cut and punched out. So let's start by getting our paper piercing mat so we can get a nice clean image. And we'll open up our VersaMark, and let's start with the word hey. So go ahead and put VersaMark on that first. And the reason we're doing that is because some of these larger images, the ink will pool a little bit, and so we don't get a nice clean image. And this VersaMark will hold on to the ink and keep it in place. So go ahead and ink that up. And then that goes on our long rectangle. And we're going to be fussy cutting that so it can go really anywhere there. The next thing we're going to stamp is the word thanks. Now this did not come as part of the original stamp set. Let me show you the stamp set. So there's no thanks on this, but I just found a different stamp set that was in my craft room. This one's called Well Said, and it has a lot of fun words. And so I just wanted to use the thanks in here, but you could use any thanks. It doesn't need to look like this. If you have a thanks or even a you could do really any saying you wanted with the word hey. So this gets inked up with the Misty Moonlight. And then just center that on your strip. Put that to the side. Then let's go ahead and let's stamp the flowers. So we're going to start, so the flowers, so you could use the embellishments from the kit if you still had some, but I wanted to give you another option in case you've used all these up and you wanted to still make this card. The flower in the stamp set works perfectly for this as well. So go ahead and you can just ink that up, and we're going to do one in each color. So let's do this Misty Moonlight in this flower here. And then you're going to need to clean it between each color. So I love this Simply Chamois for that. Go ahead and open the next color, and I'm using the Pumpkin Pie, and that matches the color from the kit. And then clean that again. That actually didn't stamp very well, so I'm going to flip it over and try to find somewhere where there's a little more ink and try that again. There, that's much better. So there's always two sides to your paper. So if there's a problem with your image, you can always flip it over. And then the next color I'm using is Melon Mambo, which is the closest that I have to the new color, which is Magenta Madness. And just go ahead, ink that one up and stamp it. So the next thing we're going to stamp is the rainbow, and that's going to go on our 2-inch square. And I just wanted to show you how I place these images on my blocks. Because they're super flexible, you could kind of place them on your blocks so that they're manipulated and they change their shape. So to keep that from happening, I place my photopolymer stamps on my table and let them kind of reshape themselves, I guess, to their original shape. And then I pick it up with my block like that. And then I know that that's the original shape that was intended. But if you wanted to manipulate these and kind of come up with your own shapes, you know, that's another fun thing to do with these stamps. So you could design your rainbow in any colors. I'm just going to follow what I did for my original card. So my largest arch is in Pumpkin Pie. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink this up and stamp that down. And I'm just going to center it in that 2-inch square. My next color is the Misty Moonlight. Get some good ink on that image. And then line up the bottom and then line up the top. And then my last smallest arch is in Melon Mambo. So again, line up those ends at the bottom and then stamp up. And we've got our little rainbow arch. Okay, so I've put those stamped images off to the side. And the next thing we need to do is cut down our pattern paper so that it fits on our card base. So both patterns come from the envelopes. Now on the very first alternative, I used the Pumpkin Pie patterned envelope for the 2 cards that I created on that day. So you can go back and see those videos in the playlist. And then yesterday I used a strip from this Magenta Madness envelope. And so we're going to finish using these larger pieces. We're going to cut them to be 4 inches by 3 inches. So I'm just going to start with the 3-inch mark and then trim off the white on one side and then measure that at 4 inches. And then do the exact same for the Magenta Madness. So 3 inches. So we've cut that at 3 inches. Now we're going to trim off the white side and measure that at 4 inches, just like the Pumpkin Pie one. Now you can always save these scraps for another card if you'd like. Okay, so we're ready to now put our card together. So just go ahead and grab a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I like to use the thick cardstock. I think that does a better job for a card base. And then you're just going to add these 2 pieces however you want. If you want the orange on top, you can do that. If you want to have the pink on top like mine, that is fine as well. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing that I did for my first card. Put the pumpkin pie down first. Place that so that I have a good even border along the sides and the bottom. And then I'm going to place my Magenta Madness down next. And then this is just going to overlap the the pumpkin pie color just slightly. So just make sure that they meet in the middle. Smooth everything out. And then we're going to add the strip of white. And we do need to cut that down to 4 inches. And you can use paper snips or your paper trimmer, whatever you want. Just trim it at around 4 inches. And then add this to your card. And it just goes over that seam. So just a couple dots to keep it in place. All right, like that. The next thing we're going to add is a piece of vellum, and we're just going to add that with some adhesive in the middle. And you're going to just place that in the center on the left. Now you can add your rainbow, and that's just going to go at an angle and just in the center over the vellum. So it's a little bit wider than the vellum piece. And that's okay. We're just going to use the vellum kind of as a grounding element for our card. So you're going to take 16 inches of twine and you're going to wrap that around the bottom of your vellum piece. What I like to do when I double wrap is just fold it in half, place the half mark where I want my bow to be, and then I can just bring the top along the bottom and the bottom up to the top, and then tie a knot and a bow. Like that. Now I'm going to cut out my word hey and put in some little flags on my thanks, and then we can add our flowers to our card. So I'm going to start with the hey. Now for this card, I went ahead and cut out the inside openings of this word. If fussy cutting is not your jam, then don't worry about that, and you can just put it in or add it to the card with those areas, without those areas being cut. I used an X-Acto knife for some of those really small spaces, and that worked really easily. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for this card. Like that. So let's go ahead and flag these ends. I just do this by snipping in the middle and then going to each end and meeting at that point in the middle. Okay, so let's go ahead and add these elements to our card. So the hay is added to the card with just regular adhesive. Just go ahead and put a couple dots of glue. You can use liquid or your glue dots from the kit. Go ahead and add this. You're going to place it at an angle on your card. Then we're going to add our flowers and do the same thing with the curling that we did for the first card. Go ahead and just place that between your fingers and roll it around the flower. Then we can add this to our card. Place a piece of glue, place some glue on the back, or use your glue dots. And then I'm going to place the moonlight on the left of the rainbow, the Magenta Madness down here in the corner, and then the pumpkin pie up here at the top. And the last thing we're going to add is the thanks. And we're going to pop that up with some dimensionals. And I do have some that are cut in half, and which will be the perfect size for this 1/2 inch strip. And that's just going near the bottom of the rainbow and near the bottom of the hay. And if you can get that on there straight, you can do that as well. Okay, so that card is all done. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like, and share. Visit CreativeChelsey.com for more information about Paper Pumpkin and to start getting your monthly kit. Have a creative day. Bye.